Hey, what's going on, y'all beautiful people, man? We back again, we back at it with yet another video. Hey, this, the most embarrassing moments in the UFC. I don't watch UFC, but I watch the boxing, you feel me? I only watch specific boxing matches, you feel me? So, I watch boxing, I don't watch UFC. Only time I remember watching UFC is when Conor McGregor was fighting and shit, you feel me? So, yeah. We about to check out some embarrassing moments that I'm knowing for a fact I didn't see. It's probably gonna be one in this whole compilation that I didn't saw before. Probably, let's say that too. But yeah, it don't matter, let's go.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Fight Focus. And for today's video, we will be covering the UFC's most embarrassing moments.
What
also,
the
if you
hell
enjoyed
was
this video,
that?
please make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and comment what video you want to see.
I saw some dookie, bro, on the thumbnail.
Just like any other sport, MMA has its awkward moments. The athletic ability required to be a mixed martial artist is immense. However, linguistic skills are not mandatory, and that is an area in which many fighters are severely lacking. The embarrassing scenarios can arise in many more places than just post-fight interviews, as you will find out. Let's get started, shall we?
Oh yeah, the interviews,
First up,
yeah.
Justine
The ending, after the match is over, and yeah, sometimes they can embarrass themselves doing dumb shit. Yeah, I didn't even think about it. I just thought if they was gonna fight and do some dumb shit. Interviews are so cringy, bro. Fuck, I never thought of this. If I thought of the interviews and them saying some stupid shit, I would never watch. I hate cringy situations, but I just can't deal with it. Like, my body just, you feel me? Like, fuck, I'm pissed.
In the midst of fighting,
Come on,
embarrassing
no.
scenarios can arise in many more places than just post-fight interviews, as you will find out. Let's get started, shall we? First up, we have Justine Kish. In the midst of fighting off a choke by Felice Herrig at UFC Fight Night 112, disaster struck for Justine as she kind of, let it go, leaving easily visible brown stains on the octagon mat. Believe it or not, neither fighter seemed to take notice at the time, and the fight continued to a decision, at which point Kish looked down in horror at the mat. When she wanted to flee for the nearest exit, out of sportsmanship, Kish stayed on until after the decision was announced, which she said felt like an eternity given her predicament, before finally leaving the octagon. However, despite her nightmare situation, Kish showed a sense of humor afterwards on social media and said,
Bro, look at the hashtag. I'm fucking dead.
felt like an eternity given her predicament, before finally leaving the octagon. However, despite her nightmare situation, Kish showed a sense of humor
What the
afterwards on
fuck?
social
Why this wasn't pausing, bro? Man, y'all gotta see this. I'm knowing y'all didn't see it.
until after
Look
the
at
decision
this.
was announced, which she said felt like an eternity given her predicament, before finally leaving the octagon.
Come on.
However,
Look at this shit. She said, I am a warrior and I would never quit. Hashtag shit. That shit is too funny. I'm dead. I'm fucking out of here, bro. But shout out to her for keeping strong and when, like, obviously she was embarrassed at the time, but after a while, you just like, you know what? Let's just laugh at my. Fuck. Do I have an embarrassment story? I don't really got no embarrassing story like that. I don't remember none. And I hopefully pray to God that I don't get one. I hate being embarrassed or none of that pussy ass shit.
despite her nightmare situation, Kish showed a sense of humor afterwards on social media and said, I'm a warrior and I'll never quit. Shit happens. Haha, be back soon. Next up, Dennis Hallman. When Dennis Hallman stepped in the octagon at UFC 133 wearing a disturbingly small blue Speedos,
Yeah, what
it
the
wasn't the result
fuck?
of a fashion choice on UFC fighter's behalf. Hallman told Ariel Helwani afterwards that he lost a bet, and losing the bet meant that he had to go wear some Speedos. As embarrassing as this was for Hallman, it also left him able to only fit 2 sponsors on the small amount of fabric on the Speedos, costing him a lot of money. However, it got even worse for Hallman when during the fight he suffered a wardrobe malfunction in the midst of a grappling exchange that led to his balls being exposed on live TV. To add to his woes, Dana White was fuming about Hallman's attire, stating afterwards that he was horrified and disgusted by the sight of the Speedos and banned everyone from the following suit in the future. He also revealed that he had given Brian Ebersol $70,000 thanking for getting the shorts out the hell off TV bonus, after he completed Hallman's humiliation by KOing him later in the first round. Next up, Rousimar Polares. After handing Dan Miller a vicious ground and pound beatdown at UFC 134, Rousimar Polares got up and celebrated his victory with ferocious intensity, raising his hands aloft and then jumping up onto the octagon cage to roar out the crown triumph. There was only one problem. At no point had referee Herb Dean given any indication the fight was actually over. With Miller now on his feet ready to continue, Pilares
Out of the ring.
but had to get back to the business at hand. With the fight resuming and Miller proving he was by no means done as he dropped Aquino soon afterwards, before ultimately losing out by decision. Dana White said that is fucking crazy. I never seen anything like this before. Dana White remarked,
Don't they like disqualify you if you go out of the ring? Because his foot was out of the fucking ring. Like, don't you like get this? I think I heard that somewhere. Like, you get disqualified if you go out of the ring during a match. I don't know. I thought that was gonna happen, but guess what? The fight continued and he lost. Stupid ass, but this should be in a compilation of when you celebrate too early or something like that.
resuming and Miller proving he was by no means done as he
But
dropped
these fucking
Aquino
flies and mosquitoes just
before ultimately
flying
losing out
around
by
me, but
decision.
like.
Dana White said that is fucking crazy. I never seen anything like this before. Dana White remarked afterwards, in no way, shape, or form did Herb Dean stop that fight or even come close. He didn't even make a move toward them to stop that fight. Next up, Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira has a unique way of dealing with getting hit in the groin. It's always an unfortunate and difficult thing to watch when a fighter gets hit in the groin. It just makes you wince, you don't really like to see it. It's not unusual for a fighter to jump around a bit and do a little bit of rubbing after being struck with a low blow. However, it is rather unusual for a fighter to stick their hands down their pants after suffering a low blow, as many of the fans watched Charles doing this. We probably didn't really need to see that, Charles, but we did anyway. It was the most embarrassing moment not only for Charles, but also for the fans. Probably a lot of them were laughing after seeing this on live TV. And what happened next was even more embarrassing. With that same hand without even washing. I doubt Esquerdo was pleased with the idea of being punched by a hand that was just in someone's shorts. Next up, Chuck Liddell. In his UFC heyday, Chuck Liddell took full advantage of being one of the biggest sports stars and was known to party like a rock star. However, that appeared to catch up with him during an infamously cringeworthy interview on the Good Morning Texas show. Back in 2007, when Liddell was so incoherent, people immediately began to suspect he might be either taking drugs or drunk. The show's host began to show concern for how Liddell was acting, asking him if he was okay at one stage as he repeatedly mumbled and slurred his words and even appeared to momentarily fall asleep at one point. The appearance was hugely embarrassing for Liddell, who claimed later he'd overtaken sleep medication, and the UFC, who pulled him for all his other scheduled promotional interviews to avoid any more PR disasters. Next up, Gray Maynard. Getting a knockout via a powerful slam is something that any fighter would love to have on the highlight reel. And Gray Maynard did just that when he hoisted Rob Emerson into the air and brought him back down to earth with a thump at the Ultimate Fighter 5 finale, rendering him unconscious. There was a catch though. In the process, Maynard managed to knock himself out too as he faceplanted onto the mat. To make matters worse, Maynard apparently didn't realize what had happened and reacted furiously when a no contest ruling was declared afterwards, insisting he was an out. That led to Joe Rogan making him watch footage of his embarrassing blunder on the arena big screen multiple times during his post-fight interview, to prove that he was in fact KO'd. Despite his denials, the replay clearly showed Maynard was in a dazed stupor after the slam, eventually rolling off Emerson and laying with his eyes rolling back up into his head, before he then woozily tried to get to his knees and fell back onto the mat when he attempted to stand. Next up, Caleb Starnes. Of all the fights that have taken place in the Octagon, there's never been one more embarrassing than the time that Starnes decided to continuously backpedal around the edge of the Octagon for 15 minutes against Nate Quarry. The fight left Quarry so bemused that he began hamming it up, pretending to run after Starnes and doing robotic attacks. Much to the amusement of the equally perplexed fans watching his opponent effectively commit career suicide in the cage, Starnes, who mustered a total of 12 strikes during the whole fight, was fired from the UFC afterwards, became a figure of ridicule from fans, who nicknamed him the Running Man. White said this belonged to the UFC, and after his performance the other night, he should consider a new line of work. Next up, Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva's confidence was running high when he stepped in the Octagon to fight Chris Weidman for the first time at UFC 162 in 2013. After all that time, he was long-reigning middleweight champion with no less than 10 successful title defenses.
Oh, I think I saw this one. I told y'all I probably gonna see at least one I saw before. I think he kicked him so hard, nigga broke his foot muscle, his foot bone or something. He broke something. But watch and see.
Never been beaten, the UFC was considered by some to be the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. The longer his reign lasted, the more confident and some might even say cocky the Brazilian legend became. And that had produced some priceless moments in the Octagon where he would drop his hands, let his opponents take free swings at him, and somehow still managed to avoid the incoming punches, leading Joe Rogan to exclaim on one occasion that Silva was moving inside the Matrix. However, if he lived by the sword, he died by the sword. And when Chris Weidman went up against him, he showed no respect for Silva's showboating antics. As such, when Silva dropped his hand, stuck out his chin, and mocked the attempts to hit him, even pretending to be hurt in a comical fashion, he just kept on punching until he did finally manage to connect clean to the champion's chin, knocking him out cold in humiliating fashion. Next up, Max Holloway. UFC featherweight champion Max Holloway had
It
a chip.
wasn't that clip, but I think it was the same dude that broke his foot kicking somebody. I have no idea. It was a black dude. Not all of them look the same. I think it was that dude. Some of y'all gonna say, okay, so we ain't wrong. All y'all black people look the same. No, white people, no, we don't. I'm just saying, it was that dude. I just messed up my words for a bit.
Challenging weight cut prior to UFC 218 last year that left him to strip down to his birthday suit in order to make the featherweight limit. Standing in front of the assembled media, Townsend blessed his modesty as he stood onto the scale. But things didn't go quite according to plan. Unfortunately for Holloway, one of the two men holding the towel for him, fellow fighter Justin Gaethje, decided to flip the towel as he stood there, which mistakenly resulted in his man parts being left exposed to the waiting cameras. Holloway quickly covered up, and Justin laughed off his blunder. But later, Blessed accidentally also exposed his bare butt as he tried to put his shorts back on again. Next up, David Kaplan. Dave Kaplan asks Tom Lauder to punch him and gets knocked out. Some men just don't know their limits. After excessively bragging about how he couldn't be knocked out, Dave Kaplan begs the Ultimate Fighter teammate Tom Lauder to punch him in the face. Lauder, on the other hand, took it really awkward at the start, but then thought that no one could ever get a chance to hit both the rival and his bragging at the same time. Tom, who fights 3 weight classes above Dave, reluctantly agreed and then punched Kaplan completely unconscious. It was something that Dave wasn't expecting, so brutal and hard. Probably he thought he would dodge the punch but ended the opposite. It was a pretty funny thing to watch for the viewers at home. But no doubt it was an uncomfortable experience for Lawler. The funniest part was after regaining consciousness, Dave tried to say that he didn't get knocked out, but it was too late, mate. Next up, Gina Carano. This isn't a case of a fighter doing anything awkward, but is subject to an embarrassing interview in the form of Wei Ting. Apart from being generally unprofessional reading questions off his BlackBerry, Ting also makes this interview very embarrassing and uncomfortable by asking a series of inappropriate questions. Here's some samples of Wei's journalistic dynamite. Do you get hit on more or less now that you're famous? Do you wear makeup when you fight? Who do
You get hit on less. Man, I hate reporters, but that be doing this shit. But you got some of them that's like that. Like, you got some of them, like, will ask you such an embarrassing question with a serious ass face. But that's their humor, that's their comment. Like, they're doing it for a laugh. But when people don't know you and they think you actually doing this shit, like, say your favorite YouTuber, right? And he always goofy, just always goofy. But then he asks, you feel me, some goofy questions for people that don't know this person. They gonna be like, who the fuck is this interviewer? You feel me? But as a viewer of this person, yeah, this is your favorite YouTuber. You gonna get his humor. You know that's how he is. You feel me? You gonna laugh too while he doing all this goofy shit in this interview. But for people that don't know this dude, they gonna be like, if this dude don't go find a decent job,
you think he's the ugliest MMA fighter?
Carano
does her best to stay composed and answer the questions carefully. But it doesn't stop the interview from being more uncomfortable to watch. Also, the interview is extremely detrimental of the growth of women's MMA.
God fucking damn, Rooster, I can't hear shit. Fuck.
To answer the questions carefully. But it doesn't stop the interview from being more uncomfortable to watch. Also, the interview is extremely detrimental of the growth of women's MMA, given that all the questions center around gender and appearance. It would be hard for someone unfamiliar with women's MMA to take it seriously if they were to see only this interview. Next up, Bill Superfoot Wallace.
Thank Jesus Christ he didn't show the fucking interview. Holy smokes. I didn't want to hear it at all because this sounds so embarrassing. Bro, you see she laughing, but that's not this is funny. Oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable to laugh. You feel me? Like, oh my God, I'm going to laugh to be nice. You feel me? Like, nigga, you go get the fuck on, bro.
All the way back in 1993, former kickboxing star Bill Superfoot Wallace served as the lead commentator and delivered some of the most cringe-inducing moments in sportscasting history. From start to finish, Wallace's commentary could qualify as one long, embarrassing moment in which he repeatedly showed his ability to put his superfoot in his mouth, but none more so than during his opening monologue. In the space of just a few seconds, Wallace managed to get the UFC's name wrong twice, calling it the Ultimate Fighting Challenge, instead of Ultimate Fighting Championship, and burped in the middle of saying the name of the arena the event was taking place in. As the event went on, Wallace would go on and pronounce virtually everybody's name wrong, including Royce Gracie, Roy, interpretations of Gerard Gordeau, and Taylor Tooley's names. While he even bungled the names of his own broadcasting reporters, including failing to ever correctly call Rich Goins by his name, of opting with a rod, and Ron instead. He also invented new words like discombobulates, such as pain hurts, and that the fights were taking place in an octagon. Next up, Damian Maia.
Bruh, I'm bad at names. I don't like pronouncing people's names. For people that watch me over my other channels when it comes to Anthony folks, I say a lot of times I ain't gonna pronounce your shit. But sometimes I do try. And sometimes I rather someone say it or they say their name for me to then pronounce it, cause I hate butchering folks' names. And this dude making up words that's not in the dictionary is hilarious, bro.
This is
Like,
Nate Corey. This is just a case of an unfortunate timing. Nate Corey and Damian Maya hug after their fight in a mutual show of respect. But what happened is Maya attempts to kiss Corey on the cheek, but just as he's doing that, Corey turns his head and boom. It was not that type of kiss, but an activity that can be called as a kiss. The end result is two men kissing on the lips, and Nate quickly walks away, seemingly embarrassed by this act. Alright MMA fans, thank you so much for sticking around to the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like.
dog, I don't want to say nothing about that, cause you know the LGBTQ or RRSNTB, you feel me, on niggas' ass. But yeah, I'm finna head out. Shout out to them fellas. This is probably their first time kissing a man on the. But yeah, I'm gonna dip out, man. Comment down below what type of videos you know what, I ain't even gonna say that because I don't know if nobody watching this, but it don't matter. I love this channel. I'm gonna sit here and react all day. If don't give a fuck. Anyways, I'm out. Peace.
I'm on the road to riches driving by ya, but these niggas want pop my tires. Blue wings got fire. My name on flyers.